Fuck them kids. Fuck the kids? Yeah.
Fuck them kids!
Elijah! What the hell is wrong with you?
You told me!
Issa, what the fuck?
You want some too?
Girl, fuck them kids and fuck you too.
Hey ladies, welcome back to Somebody Come Listen to This podcast. This is your host, Naba. If you are new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you aren't, I want you guys to just hit that like button. So let's get into it because this is a lot. The men's around the world are going crazy about this population decrease. Like everybody's population is like decreasing in most countries, I think, except Africa. And the women are just sitting back like,
Fuck you, and fuck you. Who's next?
and I'm loving it. I'm just like scrolling through all of the comments, and there's men in there just complaining about us going extinct and we need to make more kids, and nobody is thinking about what women are going through. And I'm just loving it. It's actually more men that I've seen making videos than women because they're scared out of their mind that they're not going to be able to pass their demonic spawn on through us. And so, ladies, I'm loving it and I'm so proud of y'all. So I'm going to get into these videos and I'll come back in a little bit with my commentary.
You don't want to sacrifice your time in raising a child.
Because I don't see the benefit of it in any way. How is that going to help me? The day I die, so what if I had children or not?
You see?
It doesn't
selfish. Selfish.
Maybe it's selfish. Yeah, I'm not, I don't judge. If you want to have children, yes, but don't judge someone who doesn't want to have.
That is why you guys should stop complaining about immigrants coming in. There's a role in society that you guys must play.
Fact.
So if you are not living your quarter, if you are not playing your part in society, another group are going to come in to, fulfill that part.
Yeah, so immigration is important.
Immigration is very, very important.
All over the world.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
You don't see people relocating to India that often, relocating to China that often.
Yeah.
Because their population is huge.
Exactly. In comparison to Europe,
Yes.
for example.
Countries with fewer population are most likely to get immigrants because there are fewer people compared to the resources of that country.
That's true.
If I apply for a job in Europe, maybe 1,000 people. China, 1 million people apply for that same job.
That's true.
So there's a huge competition.
Northern Europe is very empty when it comes to population, right? So yeah, I guess that's
10 million people in Sweden,
5 million in
Norway. 5 million?
I think so, and Finland also.
That's like a local government in Nigeria.
Did you know that the Silicon Valley elite are panic breeding white babies? Hi, my name is Rachel Donald. I'm a climate corruption journalist and the creator of Planet Critical. So let's talk about how elites like Elon Musk are saying that population collapse is a bigger catastrophe and threat than climate change. Population growth is either stagnating or on the decline in many developed countries around the world. In these countries, you've also got populations that tend to live longer. Put those two things together and you've got an economy that needs to provide for its elderly population whilst there aren't enough labourers being born to fulfill its needs. One quick and easy solution, of course, would be to accept any one of the numerous refugees fleeing their countries. But the philosophy of elites is, well, we don't want those kinds of people being brought into our economies. That's why there's this new trend in Silicon Valley elites to get together and produce as many white, upper middle class babies as they can. This is called long-term thinking, allegedly, and it's all down to effective altruism. Effective altruism is the philosophy that Sam Bankman-Fried subscribed to. The crypto guy who crashed the market. Anyway, it was created by a British philosopher called Will MacAskill. And the initial idea was very interesting. It was all about how to use your money effectively, but it quickly morphed into something else. Part of MacAskill's long-termism is saying that in the future there will be trillions and trillions of unborn humans after we have colonized every other possible planet in the universe, and that we owe them a future. However, because the unborn trillions massively outnumber the 8 billion alive today, it means that these Silicon Valley elites can continue to justify ripping minerals and materials out of the Earth's crust and ignoring the suffering of the very many people who exist today because they are working on the technology and the innovation and the infrastructure that will secure the future for the trillions of unborn humans. They are saving the world Just not this one. And it gets even worse. Simone and Malcolm Collins are both ex-Silicon Valley types, and they've created pronatalist.org, where they're encouraging people of their class and their ilk to have more white babies. They've even created a matchmaking website where rich white people who want to have a load of children can meet other rich white people who want to have a load of children. Simone and Malcolm Collins are trying to have 10 children, and they plan on indoctrinating each of those 10 to have another 10. And they hope to represent about 10% of the United States population in the next 100 years. They have openly said that it's better to invest in the education of the 0.1% than the lower 50%. So they firmly believe that only people like them can save the world, and that's why they have to have lots of babies. Their whole thought process completely lacks any class or structuralist critique about how and why privilege allows access to certain spaces and allows certain people to become more influential than others. It also completely abdicates responsibility for the billions around the world who are living in abject poverty thanks to the consumption of the elites in the West. And this is why I think the elite are panic breeding white babies. In order to maintain our very luxurious lifestyles in the global north, we need the minerals and the materials from the global south, and we need the political precarity that cheap labor provides in order to maintain our cultural dominance. In other words, we wouldn't get to live in the way that we do if there weren't children suffering in the world. And rather than equitably distributing resources, these people would rather maintain their dominance at the expense of the majority. These people aren't trying to save the planet. They're trying to save their own skin. Go to planetcritical.com to learn more and subscribe.
People just don't understand, like, nothing will make you happier than having kids. It will absolutely improve your happiness level to have kids. What we risk is a civilizational collapse. Yeah. And somewhat of a depressing civilizational collapse. If the birth rate keeps dropping every year and population just keeps going into this sort of like negative death spiral, literally, then it won't die with a bang. It'll die with a whimper in adult diapers. I mean, that's a bleak end to civilization.
You know how there's a declining birth rate in both America and Japan, right? Like, I'm sure both countries are stressed out about it because America's already like, oh my goodness, we're declining in birth rate. What do? We need to do something, yada, yada, yada. And I'm sure the government of Japan is probably doing the same thing. But what I'm laughing at is different tactics being used trying to solve the problem at hand. And the fact is neither of them are doing anything to really solve the issue. But America's like, oh my goodness, there's a decline in birth rate. We need to do something, yada, yada, yada. What do? We need more people, more workers. What are we gonna do? Like, I got it. We're gonna remove women's rights. Like, we're gonna force these women to have these babies whether they want it or not. We don't care who lives or dies. It is not funny, but like, Japan's probably like, word, we see you, we heard the idea, but we have something better. We're gonna make baby anime. We're gonna release them bitches back to back to back to back. We're gonna give these hoes so much baby fever. They're gonna think that it was themselves that decided to have a baby. Like, we're just releasing animes back to back with little kids as the main characters. We're gonna have these women gushing and blushing and fiending for a child. Because they did it. They really did that, bro. And you know, we could have came up with better solutions, but yeah. Okay, Japan.
Did you know that there's a really interesting reason why countries like Japan, China, and South Korea have some of the world's lowest birth rates? And some of these East Asian countries will even offer you huge sums of money simply for having a child. For example, Singapore will pay you $11,000 for your first and second child, and some companies in South Korea will even pay you $75,000 to have a kid. However, even with so much money, many of these monetary incentive programs for having a child isn't working. And as you can see behind me, the birth rate for many of these East Asian countries continue to decline. For example, in South Korea, women went from having 6 births to 0.81 in 2021. The country of South Korea even declared this to be a national emergency since they need at least 2.1 births per woman in order to keep the population stable. And although these financial incentives are great, the countries that I'm talking about here aren't addressing the core issue. Many of these East Asian countries have some of the most horrendous work-life balances in the world. And this applies to both men and women who sometimes work double the amount of their Western counterparts. In addition to this, their pay isn't great even if you add these cash incentives. And this means that most people are simply way too busy, overworked, and even poor to have a child. And without immigrants coming into these countries, the effects can be catastrophic.
Let's talk about these low birth rate numbers and what they say to you. How concerning is it?
How concerning is it?
Well, Elon Musk said the greatest threat to our civilization is not AI, it's not climate change, it is demographic collapse. And we're at the precipice. We're at 1.6 in terms of total fertility. We need to be at 2.1 or above to replace ourselves. And we're not doing that. And it's a crisis.
Is it surprising that people not having no children? Y'all really surprised? Look at the type of environment we gotta deal with, bitch. We is living in one large ass open asylum. That's what we live in. We can't afford shit. We can't afford to damn eat, bitch. They closing down the damn dollar stores and hell, half of us be eating up out of there. You see a need for consoling. I see people being more responsible. When I tell you the girlies is not playing with y'all, they said it ain't no more room in they poom poom for no babies, bitch. The gateways from the spiritual realm is closing up, bitch. They said you bitches woke up through me. And as a motherfucker who don't want kids myself, bitch, I just don't see the need. It's just too much. We ain't finna keep birthing y'all slaves. We not finna keep birthing y'all motherfucking goddamn workers and people that y'all gonna poison and kill. We just not finna do that. We can't even feed our damn selves half the time. Y'all talking about, oh, you're not having children. Look what the fuck we gotta go through. We are living in uncertainty. Times is uncertain. I feel like to have children at this point is just irresponsible. But the girls have did they big one, bitch. They said, fuck y'all and them kids.
Not much for conspiracy theories, but I gotta know what you think about this one. Birth rates are dropping and governments are panicking. I think, oh great, our population's dropping. That's just what this world needs. When actuality, fiscally, our society is structured in a way that relies on the working class as taxes, so working age people, to take care of the elderly. So our societal structure is about twofold. US fertility rate is hitting record lows. It hit record low 2020, 2019, and 2018 with the pandemic helping pick things up momentarily. Policymakers who are structuring our society have long agreed upon a 2.1 replacement level fertility. However, since the government started tracking fertility rates in the 1930s, we have now fallen to the lowest of ever fertility rate of 1.64 children per woman. What happens if we fall below this 2.1 replacement fertility level is our population starts to grow older and shrink, and that slows economic growth and strains government budgets. As we see these older generations like boomers who are growing up with 7 children in the family move into old age, we need an equal working class to be able to fund different government programs we have for the elderly, such as Social Security, Medicare. Not to mention, things are about to get a lot more expensive for our children. We think inflation's bad now. Half of our state government's revenue comes from sales tax. And if there is less of a population spending money, guess what they have to do? Increase sales tax and increase the cost of goods. What can governments do to increase fertility rates around the country to get ahead of this issue? They could provide affordable childcare for families. They could provide guaranteed parental leave. They could make sure women are protected from losing their jobs from pregnancy. Or they could make abortion illegal and force us to have more babies to get ahead of the fertility rate.
So America actually has declining birth rates. Why do you think that is?
I guess people are being smart. Not to mention the easy access to birth control and Plan Bs. Back in the day, they didn't care. They even trust condoms. They just go ahead and screw, and that's it.
Do you think that's a sign of societal decline in the sense that we don't have priority to want to create a family?
There's a lot of people who just want to go out and have fun, experience their lives. Parents will say, hey, don't have kids at my age. Go out and have fun. Even my sisters have told their kids, encourage her daughters to not have kids at that age and just have fun in their 20s.
Congress just warned the United States on how the infertility rates have been drastically dropping, and
this is why I fucking hate our political class, right? U.S. fertility rates have been dropping for years. It's what's leading to the white panic of we don't have enough of white babies. And most politicians are worried about future generations of workers. It's not fucking rocket science. It is literally that people cannot afford to have children. It is literally that people do not see a future ahead of them. It is literally people are living paycheck to paycheck. I literally just saw a study on Twitter today that said 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Like, what the fuck are people talking about? Of course fertility rates would be low. You told them not to fucking buy avocado toast if they couldn't afford it. You want them to have a fucking kid that they can't afford? And not only do they complain about low fertility rates, but they have no initiative and no desire to make anybody's lives any better, except for the billionaires that pay them and the corporation in whose pockets they reside. And then they'll be like Joe Biden, I'm a capitalist. Do you see the price of fucking baby formula? Do you see the price of diapers? Do you see the price of childcare? Oh my God, fertility rates are low. No fucking shit. People can't afford to live. Why would they bring life into the world?
The CDC just released their fertility rate for 2023, and as you can see, it's 1.62. The lowest it's been in like literally centuries. And of course, we're going to have lawmakers be like, why don't people want to have babies in America? even though there's a governor down in Texas that's suing the United States of America over the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, the act that provides protections to pregnant workers in the workplace. And then on top of that, hopefully you don't lose your job during your pregnancy, because if you lose your job, then you're going to lose your health insurance. It costs around $18,000 to have a vaginal birth here in America, around $25,000 if you have to have a C-section. Hopefully you don't get sick. Hopefully you don't have a high-risk pregnancy or have to be hospitalized, because especially if you don't have health insurance because you lost your job because you were pregnant. Oh, and then on top of that, hopefully when you deliver your child, it's a very healthy child, because NICU expenses, especially if you don't have health insurance because you lost your job because you were pregnant. Or the fact that we don't have paid parental leave. So hopefully you have enough sick leave to take at least 1 or 2 weeks off. And if you don't, hopefully they don't fire you because you had a baby, which happens. And then you lose your health insurance. And then you don't have any money to pay your hospital bills, let alone food, mortgage, rent. Oh, and then there's childcare. I forgot about childcare. I just paid my $3,200 bill for my pre-K and my toddler and childcare. Yeah, $3,200. Boop, out the window. But yeah, we don't have enough money to start a universal childcare program, even though they just spent like what, $80 billion in aid to other foreign countries. Yeah, we can't start that universal childcare program because why would we need to help Americans? Oh, and then on top of that, you're going to have to listen to people in the Supreme Court debate how many organs you should lose before you get life-stabilizing care. Oh, and then they're just going to take away your bodily autonomy as well. So hopefully you don't have a daughter. Oh, and then on top of that, when you live in a state where there's universal breakfast and lunches, you will be constantly fearing that it'll be taken away because the federal government's like, we don't want to have to fund that. We don't want to have to help out with that. Oh, and then there's like a child tax credit that's just sitting in Senate right now that has been shown to reduce childhood poverty. We're not going to pass that. Nope. Instead, though, we will pass that aid to Israel. So that's cool. That really helps out the American people. Oh, and then on top of that, inflation and like an all-time high of food prices because corporations are greedy and the tax cuts just benefit them. And so now all middle-class families are paying more in taxes than they've ever had to pay, on top of the fact that corporations are getting huge tax breaks and making record profits. But I mean, come on. America's great, right? So why wouldn't you want to have a baby here?
Who wants a good laugh? There are people out there right now reading this line and thinking to themselves, well, if that number went down, and if it keeps going down, then that means that someday I'm gonna be a minority. Who am I gonna blame stuff on? You know what's happening.
That South Korea broke its own record as the country with the lowest fertility rate in the world.
South Korea's population is collapsing. South Korea's birth rate hit a record low of 0.76 in early 2024, driven by high child-raising costs, economic burdens, and cultural shifts. The government declared a national emergency, offering cash support for newborns and increased parental leave. But critics say these measures are inadequate. Projections indicate the population could drop from the current 51.3 million to 42 million by 2050 and 28 million by 2100. Who will support this aging population in the future? Is this the fate of every Western democracy?
So he said, who will support South Korea's aging population? That goes to show you right there that men only want women and children being born so that we can take care of the adults when they get older as workers. They want us to be workers. They want to use us to just work and die. And not surprisingly, y'all, I was looking for commentary from women, but when I was scrolling, all I kept seeing was commentary from men, and there's a reason for that. Women are not as concerned about the population dying out and going extinct because women are tired. Women don't want to care for the elderly. So when that man said that, it's basically women that are caring for the elderly and the children worldwide. So that's what they see us as caretakers and servants and maids and just do for everybody. And women know what we're doing. worldwide, obviously, and the men are just running around making videos and just going crazy. What about the what if we go extinct? Women are like, we don't care, let it go, let us go extinct even faster. Like, and these governments, they don't even want to listen to women. That's why I'm saying they only want to oppress us to get the numbers back up, because money is everything to them. Money, people are money, people are currency to them. That is all. We're numbers. We're, you know, they use us until they can't anymore, until we're dead, especially in America. It's like we retire probably at 65, 70, and most of us are dead by then or on our way out. So, ladies, I'm so proud of y'all. Like, it's crazy scrolling through the comments and just seeing these men are just so scared. And even some women don't realize what's going on. I feel like this is just a natural, just cause and effect. You know, you oppress and you treat women and children so bad for so many centuries, the women start to wake up and see it. And like, what's the benefit? We literally get no benefits in any part of the world to having children. Our children don't get any benefits. Like, unless you're born into a rich family, our children are going to have to get right out of high school, if they finish high school, and go right to work and never get to rest. So from the time they're 5 in pre-K and all the way until they die, they use them for their benefits. They put them in their schools, they indoctrinate them. Well, not in China and places like that. I see their kindergarten, they actually teach them like life skills like cooking and sewing and how to use guns and stuff like that. In America, no, they don't want to teach our kids anything. They want to keep our kids dumb so they can depend on the system forever. And, you know, only a certain amount of people will reach to the top. So the rest of y'all are just worker bees. So I'm so proud of women, and I could care less. I want to see the numbers drop faster. You guys, I want you to share these videos. I want y'all to make your own channels and talk about it so women will catch on faster. I'm not disappointed at all. And last but not least, I want to say, if you are in a country or a place where you can protect yourself and bear arms, I suggest you as women do so, because the more and more women do this, the more they're going to change laws trying to oppress us. And I just suggest you be prepared. Get whatever weapons you can. If you have boys, keep those weapons away from your boys, because where I'm from in America, we have a lot of mass pow-pows, and most of them are committed by boys, by males. So ladies, and yeah, and the husbands are using the pow-pows against their wives. The men, period, are using the pow-pows. That's why I don't understand why they're complaining. Like, they're taking us out left and right, but if we say, okay, we're just gonna take everybody out and let the population die, it's a problem. Like, it's a problem if we make our own choices in any way as women. But if they make the choice to like unalive us while we're pregnant or anything like that, is not a problem. That's fine. But that's all I have to say about this topic. So ladies, get down in the comments and let us know if you have your channel, and I will follow you. And please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. Thank you, ladies. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.